happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am DJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dove. And with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Okay, 2 more weeks of football coming up. We're recording prior to the conference championships and then Super Bowl. But it doesn't affect us in fantasy unless you're playing DFS. If you are, have some fun with it. You're probably listening to it afterwards, and half the nation you're probably covered in snow at this moment. We were talking prior, but how's it looking out your ways there, JJ Wang?
I don't think it's as bad as they thought it was going to be, but I mean, still coming down pretty hard. I mean, it's good to see snow, I guess. I don't feel like we get it very often. Like we only get it like once a year, maybe anymore. But it's hardly ever anything like this. Usually just like a little dusting where you can still see the grass. But yeah, pretty white.
Told my kids, I said, get out early because by like, what was it, 9 or 10 this morning, the snow had stopped and it was just like ice, just sleet coming down. But it's not sticking sleety. I scraped the driveway. I'm looking out the window. It's white again. So I just made an ice rink for my family and my van to just.
So we all know how well cars run in ice.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how some of these. Super Bowl is dome full, or always in warm places. Seattle's going to be fine. Denver. I don't even know. I should try. This will be passed for most people, but weather could affect. And I noticed a lot of teams are going to the covered stadium. I mean, Buffalo is going to be inside the stadium, so those days of cold weather Buffalo games, toast.
Yeah, kind of eliminates the, like I said, the weather factor for a lot of teams. But
so, is it a good or a bad thing? There's that nostalgia. I mean, you remember the Ice Bowl.
I think it's kind of. I don't want to say. Well, I don't want to say bad. But I won't say it's necessarily bad. But I feel like it's something that I kind of miss. I enjoy seeing like a good snow game, a rain game, like the fall game from back in the day where you could barely see like 3 feet in front of you. I think it was the Eagles and the Bears. I remember watching that. But like the weather is like the ultimate equalizer. And if you just got a bunch of big, strong, fast guys on turf, it's just gonna be like a track meet, and it's just gonna be the same thing. There's not going to be any different. It's just going to be the same football game every week. I mean, it's fine most of the time, but every now and then you like seeing a good weather game. That's what football is.
Unless you have that quarterback, then it really sucks. The gunslinger. No, I mean baseball does. I mean the walls are different lengths and heights and all this. You got the Green Monster and different stadiums.
Yeah, I mean it's like the variety helps the game a little bit. It doesn't make it so cookie cutter.
Spice of life. So we're gonna get into it. I told him prior. I said I do not feel good today. I went out and pushed snow and I'm crashing like a champ. But thanks to Riverside for supporting us. It makes it fun that we can, if we have internet snafus, because we're in the greatest internet state in the world, that it still records on JJ Wang's side and comes to my side. I don't even know what he said sometimes, and it comes to my side with some of the internet things, which is pretty gnarly. So thanks to that, if you're ever doing a podcast, riverside.fm. Also at Fast Draft, I did a playoff game. It was pretty fun. They just opened up some of their way too early best ball contest. Go to Fast Draft, use code Couriers, get matched up to $50. Fun little time there on an up and growing thing. But this week we're going to start looking ahead. We've looked back. We've talked about guys that were great, guys that kind of sucked. We celebrated, your top guy who was Drake May, and my top guy we cried about, who was Chuba Hubbard.
Oh yeah,
played good in the playoffs. But now we're looking into the future. We're going to do a couple crystal ball episodes. My day is going to the point that I didn't get some crystal ball music, so there we go. But we're going to look this week at guys that we think could take that next step next year. They could become more so household names because of their performance, because of what they're doing. They're guys that you might, and they'll essentially, most of these guys could fall into high-end sleepers per se, but guys that we know are going to do something, but we don't know how much, but we think that they might take that step, and teams next year will be rewarded with those players. So we're not doing any quarterback. I'm going to let you start first because I know you're excited. It's your favorite player on the known universe that you are looking for. So go for it.
Yeah, so my guys, of course, one of my new favorite players, Tyler Shuck from New Orleans Saints. according to what I see, he only played like 51% of the snaps. So he played about half of the season, roughly. Half of the season, I mean, looks like a pretty good season if you extrapolate it out. I mean, he had 4,500 yards, 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I mean, for a rookie quarterback, I mean, there's pretty good splits. The team, all that great. I mean, well, not great at all. I mean, they got Chris Olave. Chris Olave is the only other legitimate player. And if you ask me, Tyler Shook is what made Chris Olave relevant this year. I mean, well, other than the fact that he wasn't injured, he's always been a good receiver. But
Yeah.
Tyler Shook kind of opened it up a little bit for Olave. Olave had his best season of his career. I think he finished wide receiver 7, 6, 7, something like that. It's always the numbers that I go back to. But the offensive line could be better. The running game could be better. And then once everything starts coming together, I think Tyler Shook, I think he's already earned the starting spot. I think they'll definitely bring in, a veteran, to back him up a little bit. And he can run a little bit. He had 3 rushing touchdowns, 185 yards of 43 attempts. So I mean, he does give you some offensive touchdown opportunity there. I think he could be fighting for that top 12 spot. Like that Purdy area, Kirk Cousins type player, something like that. I love Tyler Shook. I know. Again, I fall for the trap of being great for half a season. And then next year he comes out and it's not very good. But I'll continue to fall for this trap. I always do. And right now, Tyler Shook is my next guy.
Okay. You got no argument here. He grew on me towards the season. And it's funny, Olave was starting out with target, and then getting nothing. Like, I forget, there was one game, I don't have my guy pulled up, but he had a boat ton of targets for like 40 yards or something like that, 47, whatever. So, but Chuck turned those targets into useful yards, not just dink and dunk kind of things. They were able to open up the game a little bit. So I think it'll be fun to see. I mean, goes out to a season. What do you think? 40? He's looking at 4,700 yards, and
yeah, I mean, if you double this season, I mean, pretty safe to say next year, 4 to 500 yards, 4,000 to 4,500 yards. If you can get to touchdowns of 25 to 30, I mean, I don't think it's very hard.
No.
I think we could be looking at one of the top quarterbacks next year.
Yeah, and he'll be
ish.
Oh, you'll be able to get him late. Like, he's a very good late round quarterback throw that you can get there. Or if you want to back up some guy that you're worried about, so if you're like Lamar, not knowing what's going to go on with supposedly McCarthy's the vote, they gave him a verbal agreement, so we'll see if that all pans out officially. But what all happens there if he's traded, or like a Kyler, who you can probably get about 4 rounds, it probably cost you. No, he might be about the same price as Kyler because Kyler stinks.
Yeah, I would definitely have Tyler over Kyler.
So, but yeah, so as a pairing for guys, depending on where guys are. But yeah, I love that call. I love him for next year, and I think they're going to get him some weapons in the offseason, notably probably a running back to go with him to give him some help there, some linemen. I've seen them going running back in round 1 at a bunch of mock drafts. The kid from Notre Dame supposedly looks pretty good. There's a couple others around there that we'll talk about in the upcoming months. I'm going with a guy who is going to be an unrestricted free agent, but Zach Charbonnet just tore his ACL. I don't think there is a way that Seattle doesn't re-sign Kenneth Walker, realizing they're without who they thought would have made Kenneth Walker, not use. They wouldn't have needed him next year. But Kenneth Walker has had a pretty good year this year. I mean, he ended the year with 1,027 yards and 5 touchdowns. Nothing, to write home about as a top 3, 4, 5 running back. But take Charbonnet out of there, give Kenneth Walker those 14 touchdowns or whatever, and booyah, he's up to 19 touchdowns if there's no Charbonnet. He's gonna get all those pushes. They're gonna bring in another running back because NFL teams would be stupid not to. But he's now gonna go into next year the bell cow. Sharps might be back towards the end of the season, or he might go the whole season. It really depends. Different guys heal differently with this. He's young, which will help. But I think they re-signed Walker on almost a prove me deal or out of necessity. And he comes back, he's going to give you good return on investment, because the Seahawks are, whether they have won by now or are going to win and go to the Super Bowl or not, they're going to be in contention next year. And they need a running back to do that. So Kenneth Walker, rock and roll.
Yeah, it's unfortunate about Charbonnet. It was kind of growed on me. He was kind of like making it to where Walker wasn't needed. I mean, I guess pretty much bring Walker back and he'll be the number 1 guy because, like I said, of course they'll bring in another running back, but it was more or less the Seahawks, trusted both of these running backs. So now coming in the next season, they're only going to trust, they only have Walker to trust. So I mean, if they do bring him back, they'll pretty sure he gets the bulk of the carries. He was better this year than I'd anticipated him being. He was definitely good to use. I mean, he was a good RB2 type. But yeah, I think it's a good call. I think Walker's going to get a majority of the carries, but if you give him that many carries, can he stay healthy? I guess that's the thing.
Yeah,
I guess the
true.
thing with Charbonnet, you're able to give Charbonnet a lot of carries, take that workload off of him. And I'm pretty sure if you bring in another running back, it's probably what they're just going to stick with. They're just going to bring in a running back that's able to carry as much of the load as Charbonnet was. And I don't know if the ceiling is going to be there because I don't know how much they trust Walker as far as like being a full cow runner, but I feel like in the beginning of the season he's going to get as much work as possible.
I mean, yeah, late in the season, I mean, he only had 300-yard games. One was almost, so he was getting the touches there towards the end of the season. They were leaning on him a little more with experience, so it'd be interesting to see. My second guy is a guy who I've talked about. I did not like at all coming in, and he got injured, and then he came back. It's Christian Watson. Christian Watson seemed to have transitioned from being that deep threat guy to a guy they can use in possession routes, which I think is going to make him valuable. I believe Dobbs is a unrestricted free agent this year. No one else. Golden seems to be stepping up, so it could be Golden and Watson as the targets next year. And Dobbs will go somewhere else. He could be a guy to keep an eye on depending on where he lands. But Watson started proving that he was a possession receiver. He had that amazing game towards the end of the year versus Baltimore, 113 yards and a touchdown. He ended up only played 10 games at Rock Dome with 6 touchdowns. So that's 60% of your games you get a touchdown. That's always nice. That's not static, but from basically Thanksgiving on, he had 7, 10, 4, 5, 6, 6, and 7 targets, which is pretty good for a guy who's usually a long ball guy. So keeping the targets up throughout the year on an offense that should continue to grow, especially if they can get rid of some of the mouths to feed. I think Christian Watson's going to continue that step to become more than just a one-trick pony, which he showed this year. He was doing more of the possession or intermediate routes.
Yeah, I mean he's surprised this year. I mean he looked really really good. Initially, like you said, Christian Watson was like that deep ball guy, or they're just throwing it deep, and he was really good at that. So now if he can transition, if he keeps that, and then can open up more of his route tree, I think that offense gets better. And I think out of all the receivers on that team, Christian Watson is most most best fitted for like the wide receiver one role. Like his whole career has been injury related. Yeah. So his whole career has been injury plagued. We clean that up a little bit, stays on the field. And I think Christian Watson, I mean, I feel like he could be right there with kind of like the Ted McMillan type. I mean, he's that kind of receiver. Ted McMillan might be a little better, but who knows?
A lot better.
But I mean, we can see if he plays the whole season, he's going to be the number one receiver. I think he can finish pretty high as far as wide receivers go.
Here's another one of your boys. Go for it.
Yeah, it's another one of mine. This is just turning into an early version of my guys for next year.
I think so.
Travion Henderson, as a rookie, he did really really well. He finished with almost 1,000 yards. It was like 901 or something like that. Yeah, so 911 yards. He averaged 5 yards a carry. So fantastic there. Nine touchdowns, 35 catches. So he can't catch the ball. But the only problem with him was Ramondre Stevenson. When Ramondre Stevenson was there, majority of the snaps were going to Ramondre there at the end of the season. It was just like all Ramondre and no Travion Henderson. Pretty much like that in the beginning of the season too. But there was a stretch in the middle of this season where Ramondre got hurt and Travion Henderson looked really, really good. He had a RB4, RB3. Outside that, he's pretty much like a kind of RB2 type. But he had another RB3 finish and another RB6 finish to finish the year. I guess they'll bring Ramondre back, and they seem to really, really like Ramondre. So that might halt it a little bit there. But I think next year they give him more of the workload. If he can reach over 200 carries, think that gives him 1,000 yards, increases reception up to 40, 45, something like that. I think he could be fighting for an the low end RB1 type. I don't think he can finish that high, much higher than that, just because I think it's still going to be like a two running back system. They seem to really enjoy that. But as a solid, high end RB2, I think Travion Henderson has a lot of ceiling to cover here.
And he showed those few weeks that he was a really good running back. They will. Stevenson will be brought back. Their out is in 27. He'd be like $8 million in dead cap money to not keep him. So you might as well keep him and use him as that bowling ball.
Because
so it'll be another year.
He played really good. I mean, he had some good games.
Surprisingly, yeah.
Yeah.
I had him on a bunch of teams. I don't think I started him a single week because I was maybe once because of bye weeks. But I loved Ramondre coming in. If y'all listen to us, you knew that from the get go. But Travion Henderson's a better player at this point in his career. To be honest, Ramondre, he'll take away some of the short yardage stuff, and he was playing well this year. So if he does it again, he will. But I think Drake May's running is going to affect Travion Henderson's.
Yeah. I mean,
total ceiling, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if he could be like the elite. I don't think he could be. I don't know if he's going to be James Cook. Ideally, that's where you would want him to be. But I think that's but again, James Cook has Josh Allen. So I mean, that's kind of similar there. So I mean, maybe a good comparison would be James, maybe like a cheaper version of James Cook if he can get to that level.
Yeah. See how many things still. If you can get those touchdowns, that'll be the key. Yeah. Another young. Our theme seems to be between my last guy and your guys is injuries. Injuries slow us down. So your next guy, we thought could have been great this year, but injuries messed up the year.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Marion Hampton here. I just liked him a lot coming into the season. He only played in 9 games. He got hurt. Missed pretty much the whole middle of the season. Yeah, ended up with 545 yards. Of course, not great. I mean, 4.5 yards a carry. That's a good start. 4.5 yards. I mean, he's not under 4. That means he's got a little wiggle. Only 4 touchdowns. So I guess the positive thing I want to take when Kamani Vidal came in and replaced Omarion Hampton, he looked fantastic. Vidal was being used every week in fantasy. So you would think Omarion Hampton comes in, and I don't want to say he's going to be exactly but you hope he's going to be as good as Vidal was. Maybe Vidal was just better than we thought, and he's going to take a lot of the work away. Maybe it could be like more of like a Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson type. But Omarion Hampton, high draft pick, he's going to get pretty much all the goal line carries. But I think he's going to get as much work as possible. I think he'll be the true RB1 as long as he's healthy. And Jim Harbaugh likes to run the ball. He's going to base that offense around the run game, even though he does have Herbert. They want to make Herbert an MVP type. So it's going to open up the offense a lot more. And a full season of Omarion Hampton, I think 1,400 yards is probably like would be a good bar to get to. I know that's a lot, but we'll see. I think he's going to be I think he's a really good player.
And you got to add, currently, unless something changes, his OC is going to be my boy McDaniel.
That's true.
So you're bringing in that San Francisco system who made everybody a superstar. He was part of the core of that. So Harbaugh, who loves to run, McDaniel, I was telling some people recently, I said McDaniels is going to end up being like Norv Turner. Norv back in the day was the architect of that Cowboys offense. And then he did some coaching gigs and he was meh. Then he had a couple offenses throughout the years and he made them back. I want to say it was maybe the Raiders. I forget who. I mean, because he's terrible in Washington. He wasn't.
Yeah, I think he went to the Raiders for a little bit. I'm pretty sure he went to the
Was
Raiders.
he head or was he OC there? I think he was OC. Was he Gannon's OC or head? I don't remember. But yeah,
I'm not sure.
Now I have to look it up. But yeah, I see him very similar. That's a guy that if you have him not in charge, he's going to.
Yeah.
He could. That's going to really. I think that'll affect him as well because. Oh, here we go. So he's offensive coordinator for the Panthers, the Vikings, the Browns, head coach for the Chargers, OC for the Niners, head coach for the Raiders, OC for the Dolphins, head coach for the Skins at the time, offensive for Dallas, obviously, and then going back to his other stuff. But yeah, so I mean, he had lots of years, and his teams are always pretty stinking good. I'm going with a tandem here, and they all go upon the same kind of idea, and that's Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Breece Hall, everything is pointing towards him getting out of the Jets, which I think will be great for him and great for them. They're obviously reinventing the wheel again, which is what the Jets do. There's a couple of us teams: Jets, Miami, the Raiders, Cleveland. We're reinventing the wheel every year. But the dude still managed 1,665 yards and 4 touchdowns on a putrid team. 4 touchdowns rather. But to have 4 touchdowns, that's not too bad considering the Jets didn't score touchdowns. Sorry, and he also, as far as receiving, he racked up. Oh darn! I lost my yards. He only had 36 receptions for 350 yards and tutty, but
that 350 yards probably pretty close led the team.
More like, and most of it was on that one catch too, that 50-yard catch, and a lot of signs have him going to Kansas City. Put him there.
Yeah,
I think it's a great for his future.
I think it's a great fit. I feel like Breece Hall is the type of running back you can kind of really put anywhere, and he's going to be good. If you can give him an offensive coordinator that knows what they're doing, it's like a team that knows what they're doing, and not the Jets. I mean, the Jets had literally 0 passing game. They got their best receiver at maybe 400 yards, maybe. So no team had to worry about the passing game. So they just loaded up on the box and just trying to stop Breece Hall. And he still managed 1,000 yards. So not what we expected out of Breece Hall, but it was still usable. I mean, he's been a little underwhelming in his career, but goes to a new team. Like, I don't know why the Jets would keep him. Like you said, they got Braylon Allen. They just get rid of Breece Hall, kind of like start over. I think Braylon Allen's going to be a really good running back too. But put Breece Hall in somewhere where it's a good team, and I think there's still plenty of life left in Breece Hall to be a legitimate RB1.
Yeah, and the answer to your question, he was not the leading receiver. Garrett Wilson was. How terrible is that?
He was still the leading receiver?
With 395 yards in 8 games. Breece Hall had 350. Mason Taylor just beat out Breece Hall by 19 yards. But yeah, so he was basically the leading receiver as far as effectiveness. If you look at it there, it's crazy. But yeah, Braylon Allen was the second part. I think he's a big bruising back. He was injured this year. We thought this year he might do something to get into, and he'll be 20. He'll be going into. He just turned 22, so he's a young guy. Breece is going to be 20. This will be his year 25 season. Get his new contract going wherever he goes. Could have like a Javonte Williams kind of year where he takes that next level, but his hasn't been due to other things. But Braylon Allen's a big boy, 6'1", 235. He'll be a bruiser in there. They'll probably bring a scat back in with him. But
they still got
Isaiah Davis.
Isaiah Davis, yeah.
Yeah, I'd run with both those guys.
He looks pretty good too.
So I think they're set. And they need so many pieces that I think this is the year that if you can get Allen and a 0 RB as your like third running back, you might reap some amazing reward. That's why I tag teamed those guys together.
But I mean, if Breece Hall does get traded, I'm pretty sure
he's free UFA, I believe.
Well, if he does end up leaving, Braylon Allen will probably be getting drafted pretty high. I don't know if you're going to be able to, because he's going to be a starting running back. We know how fast starting running backs go. But it doesn't matter. It's still start. There's been a lot of running backs on bad teams.
True. I'm gonna close out my guys here with the Bears' leading receiver this year, 113 yards for Colston Loveland. We thought that he wasn't going to be highly effective this year just because of all the mouths to feed, and then he came out with 82 targets, 58 receptions. Williams loves him, so give them another offseason together. Let him learn more about Ben Johnson and grow this team, which surprised everybody. Got me on board. I talked to a Bears fan. Basically, the Bears, I heard Caleb Williams has to win the Super Bowl for them not to hate him because of the comments he made about them. But I love Colston Loveland, seeing him. I watched him a lot more towards the end of the season when I had to use him more on my teams. And he looks like he could be the real deal. So pretty much he had since the 28th of December through the playoffs, 10, 13, 15, 10 targets. So you got a solid core there. They don't know about him getting double teamed because you'll have Rome there, and I don't know what DJ Moore's status is, but you have Rome on one side at least, and the backs there. I'm pretty sure they bring back Swift. I was using Manun guy, but I think they bring back Swift after the way he played on like a lower deal. Run both those guys again. But I think he's gonna be a. I mean, not that it takes much. He could be a top 5-6 tight end next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think it would take. I don't think it would take a whole lot. Yeah, he kind of disappeared in the beginning of the season, and we didn't think it was going to turn out to be much. Definitely surprised there towards the end of the year. Pretty much their best weapon. Adunze really didn't turn out to be all that great. Started strong. Then he got hurt a little bit. DJ Moore, But yeah, Loveland looked like their best receiving option. I know Luther Burden looked pretty good there at certain points.
He'll be a name to watch.
So I mean, I think they got a good core. I think with Caleb Williams, I think he'll continue to use the running or the tight end a lot. Yeah, and I think he could be fighting. Like would it surprise me if Loveland was the number one tight end next year? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I think Burns another name we could. Burns a name we could have thrown in there as well. I think he might be what I thought Rome was going to be, because he started towards the end of the year like, oh, there's something with this. Like, he didn't do anything spectacular. He had the really good week in San Francisco, and then kind of the last 3 weeks. But you could see there was something you watched him. You watch guys doing Phillips in their game that something's coming good. And Burden, I didn't think it would be anything, and he's going to the next level. Okay, who's your last guy? I love this guy. This is man. You got your first to start are my two favorites.
Yeah, so the last guy, this is the guy we talked about a lot at the end, towards the end of this fantasy season. And that's Parker Washington for the Jacksonville. Came on super strong the second half of the season. Pretty much he was their number one wide receiver the second half of the season. Brian Thomas, who knows? He was terrible. Travis Hunter got hurt. Who knows how much offense he's going to play. Strange started coming on a little bit. So their offensive attack, I think, will be pretty good. And I think Parker Washington has a very good shot at being the wide receiver one on that team. And he's only 5'10", but he's pretty stocky. He weighs over 200 pounds. So he's not like 5'10", 180, anything like that. So he's a pretty big guy as far as like bulk goes. I mean, he's got 10 targets, and 9 in the last 3 games. And he's getting touchdowns too. That's kind of like the biggest kind of drawback there. Is if he's good enough to get touchdowns. And the way Trevor Lawrence was playing this year leads to think next year could be just as good. Liam Cohen seems to be the coach that can make a difference. I know a lot of teams, that's all it takes is the coach coming in and knowing what they're doing and kind of changing the offense. Parker Washington's still super young. How old is he?
23.
23.
So, He'll be 24 this season.
So, I mean, he hasn't even hit his prime yet. He's still got like 2 years to get to his prime. But I thought he looked fantastic. He's not like necessarily a deep threat, so he can run. So he's running a lot of like underneath side stuff, out stuff. So he's got a full route tree, and if he's open all over the field, I mean that can only mean good things for Jacksonville.
Parker Washington and Michael Wilson might be the same person in my brain.
Yeah,
very similar. So they're in that. That was the year 3. They played spectacular. Came out and they could. Those are 2 guys that I have a feeling I'll be throwing on to my teams as I go through next year. So
if you can get them,
it'll be a fun one going on. Yeah, we were going to have the champion of the Couriers Outrageous Bowl, but he pushes snow. So he's like, I was talking to him. He's like, I got the show us. Hopefully had a fun time out in the snow with your truck pulled up with snowplow and whatnot. But we'll have him on soon. Steven's gonna come on soon to celebrate the charity that we raise money for and just winning the league. It's kind of a fun thing. So, JJ Wang, my face is like shining. That the side of my face, if you're watching the video, that is the reflection of the snow. It's so bright outside. Give us some wisdom this week as we go into the Super Bowl in a couple weeks.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your advice on a movie. I know you're a fan. I'm a fan. Kind of a childhood thing here. Of course, they got a new He-Man coming out. I just wanted to get your thoughts. Do you think the new He-Man will be any good?
Yes. I'm worried about the Earth aspect, but the more I read, it's the way I've had to look at movies. is you got. I mean, you look at the old. Have you watched the old He-Man movies? They're so cheesy. The old He-Man shows are cheesy and campy. I love them still. I'm a big He-Man guy. My son and I decorated a little He-Man castle for Christmas. They had like a more actiony one in the '90s. In the movie, absolutely terrible. But I'm up. The comics were great. I read a lot in the anime with Kevin Smith. So what I'm seeing looks fairly interesting. That they're still going to get him to Eternia. They're going to do the He-Man stuff we like. A couple of people will look a little different, but you got to think of it kind of like we did with Transformers. Transformers the movie basically is a bunch of robots that change form and blow up stuff. And He-Man's going to be some dude that gets really macho with a sword and fights a bunch of evil bad guys. And I'm excited for it. My son and I watched the preview. We're like, oh, this is gonna be great. I've always been worried about the Earth portion because his mom's from Earth, but they sent him to Earth to protect him. We'll see how it pans out, but everything's showing well so far.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the only like the Earth issue. Like at no point in the cartoons were they ever on Earth. I mean, it always took place in Eternia. So I mean, like it's like
the Christmas special went to Earth. It jumped the shark, but
but yeah, I think as long as it's got a lot of action, it's got good CGI. I mean, I don't know if it'd be as good as some of the Marvel movies, but I mean, as long as they keep it in that same atmosphere type. I don't want to compare it to I don't want to compare it to Minecraft, but I mean, like how Minecraft kind of came to Earth a little bit, and then kind of when so I guess kind of got that same kind of philosophy towards it. But it's going to make millions and millions and millions of dollars. True,
I hope so.
But
so they make a second one.
Yeah, like I said, I just hope the Earth part just isn't corny and kind of ruin it a little.
But He-Man, it's going to be corny.
Well, it's got to be corny, yeah. But the only thing was Orko in it at all. I didn't really see.
I'm on Facebook groups, and they showed there's a little he's going to be on it. Yes.
Well, yeah, because if he's not on it, that's going to be disappointing. He was I feel like if you're going to make a movie, you've got to have the main characters involved. He was a big part of the cartoon, and if you're going to
in our childhood, we liked he was like the comedy relief.
Yeah, he's a big part of the cartoon. He should be a big part of the movie. So hopefully he's there. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.